Oh, hi. Welcome to episode 216 of the Retro Game Club podcast. I am Rob, and I am recording this special edition. We're trying something new out. When we're a little bit busy, we just want to still deliver an episode. And so this is a new series we call Rewind, where we go back and look at a previous episode and give a little intro to it, and then play the episode. It's really as easy as that. And so the episode I decided to go back to was episode 2, because I feel like it was our first big topic, the AppleSauce project. It's also before we really found our footing. Someone told me that it started feeling like a real podcast around episode 4, which I would probably agree. But we didn't really sort out what kind of news we want to do. We didn't sort out what kind of topics we want to do yet. And this is when we were still doing it weekly. We played Wings of Fury, and we played Sherlock Holmes, Consulting Detective, 2 great games. I think after this, we picked like some NES 2 PC ports. Really strange episode. The news is also kind of funny as well, because it's kind of news about news that might happen in the future. It's really strange. I hope you enjoy this, and just remember that in these early episodes, we had some real, I'm using air quotes, music. Not that 8-bit music isn't real, but real instruments. So it's a bit loud, so you may want to turn down your speakers during this intro music. Enjoy.
Hey, welcome to episode 2 of the Retro Game Club podcast. We've got a great episode for you this week. We're going to be talking about some really nerdy Apple II stuff that I think you'll enjoy. And on the show with me is Rob.
Hi, yeah, we survived another winter snowstorm, hurricane, whatever the hell that was. Played a lot of video games.
Yeah, we did. I was my whole house and neighborhood was covered in ice for the past 4 days. It's been pretty brutal.
Yeah, same here. And things blown around the yard, and good excuse not to go outside.
So what have you been playing in the winter here?
I just finished the Katamari reroll. Since it's just a re-release, it was really easy, and that game has the best soundtrack.
Yeah, I like the later ones too. I mean, the original's very, very good, and then like I Heart Katamari and Me and My Katamari also have great soundtracks.
Oh yeah, those were great. Other than that, not too many games this week other than our Game Club games, which we'll get to. But if you ever run into the situation where you're literally too lazy even to play a video game,
Maybe. I've been too sick to play a video game.
Well,
similar.
I haven't watched that Netflix, the one where it's choose your own adventure style, just because I feel like it's too much work sometimes. But
I haven't watched that yet because my wife is not interested in watching it, so I have to wait till one night when she's working or something.
Yeah, or she falls asleep before you. Yep.
Yeah, I've been. Oh, by the way, does the Katamari reroll, does it have the Eternal mode?
What does that mean?
Like, after you beat a level, you can play it with no timer?
That I don't know. I know you can play it through again and pick any level, but I don't know. I'll go back and look that up for you, because I haven't taken it out of my Switch yet, so I could just go boot it up later on.
Yeah, that would be a pretty major selling point for me if they kept that in.
One thing I did get to do this weekend is drive up to Flint, Michigan, beautiful Flint, for a retro game show. It was pretty small, but there were a lot of cool things there. A lot of cartridge games. For the first time in my life, I saw a collection of Coleco Adam games, which I have never come across before. I've always been interested in that system.
Yeah, we should definitely talk about that. I owned a Coleco Adam at one point.
How many disk drives or how many discs did it wipe when you booted it up?
I never had that happen. I didn't realize that was a problem. I mostly used a cassette player for it.
Oh
So
yeah, that's safe. That's external, right?
yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
most of what I had was like I mostly played Buck Rogers on it. We'll save that for when you do the Coleco Adam tribute episode.
yeah. Because I have stories about those, even though I've never run across the cartridges. But yeah, a lot of cool stuff there. Like some stuff from Japan that you don't find much, like that game Rez. It has, I guess, a like rumble pack type thing that goes along with the music. It was kind of cool seeing that, and arcade marquees. A lot of people were buying those up, but it was pretty small. I drove longer than I was actually there, but luckily, my buddy Craig came along with me, and we got some Coney dogs on the way home. So, not too bad for a Saturday.
Yeah, yeah. I like the small game shows because often they have really good vendors.
Yeah,
It might be-
yeah.
like they may not have as many good exhibits and stuff, but usually the vendors make up for it.
Yeah, and there were great prices at this show. So, yeah, pretty fun, and I'll try to promote some before I go so people can actually have a chance to go.
Yeah. So I've been playing more Splash Lake because I think I am going to try and do the first and only and last Splash Lake guide on the internet. It's that game has some really difficult levels as you get into it. So
I've never played it.
yeah, it's just a simple puzzle game. I mean, you could maybe compare it a little bit to like Zoom on the Sega Genesis. It's not exactly the same, but the whole idea is there's enemies and you're breaking tiles on a board to try and drop them into a lake, hence the name. And it starts off pretty easy, but it gets really insanely difficult. And I don't know how you're supposed to get through it on the original hardware. I mean, I know you can save your game, and you have like 3 or 4 lives, but you essentially have endless lives because it saves where you left off. So you can always start over and go to level select and blah blah blah. But just like with like load times and stuff, it's I know I played through most of it back in the day on the CD, and I don't know how I had the time for that. Just some of the levels get really tough. And then today, when I got home from work, this nice copy of Double Switch for PlayStation 4 was in my mailbox.
Nice.
So this is the last thing that I ordered from Limited Run Games. It won't be the last thing I order from them, but it's the most recent thing I ordered. And it's a weird one for me to buy this because I have the Sega CD version as well. But I just kind of figured, same deal with like load times, and I like FMV games, and I feel like if people buy enough of these things, maybe they'll keep remaking these games.
Yeah, I bought a few off those, and I haven't opened any of them, not because I don't like them. It's just that I have a pile of games to play,
Yeah. Yeah, they're all kind of short playthroughs, so I'll find a time. I'll make time for this one.
Yeah, I really hope they keep it going. I really like that company.
Yep. I don't know what other games from this series I'd want to resurrect though. They've done Night Trap, they've done Double Switch. What else did those guys have? They had like Scottie Pippen basketball. I don't know if that should make a comeback.
Probably not.
The samurai game, that kind of stuff, maybe better off left alone. All right, so why don't we hop into a few headlines here? I think we both added this one to the notes. I had it in my queue, and then I think you beat me to it, which is where movies get their vintage electronics.
/ where I would like to live.
Yes. This is a really amazing. It's place in New York that is a giant vault of vintage electronics. And I mean, it's crazy stuff going back to 40s, if not earlier.
Yeah, and they have every cell phone you could think of, every TV you could think of. I saw a bunch of Apple Mac stuff in there. I think I saw some Atari stuff in there, like maybe an 800 or 400. But yeah, it looked really cool. If somehow I win the lotto and retire early, people after they retire will get, a job where, like, their dream job. This would be that.
Mm-hmm.
I would, you wouldn't have to pay me. I would just go and clean old electronics for you, as long as I can hang out there.
Yeah. So I see retro computing here. There's definitely a Commodore PET. There's some monitor in the background that looks like an Apple II monitor, but I'm not 100% positive. There's a million different oscilloscopes. Yeah, you're right. There's the Atari 800. I see a Commodore disk drive. Two NESs, Super Nintendo, some Nintendo 64s. They're not that vintage, I guess. But yeah,
well, and a lot of their stuff is really yellowed, so you'd think they have to get their retro bright game going.
Yeah, some of it is. It just depends. So yeah, this is a very cool little gallery, and yeah, I guess I don't know if I ever really thought too deeply about where movies get these props. I mean, I just assume they go to a lot of flea markets, but obviously there must be specialty places for this.
Yeah, there's specialty places, and I think a lot of studios also have their own, like, you know, the Warner Brothers or Universals of the world have their own catalogs of you know, clothing from different eras, electronics from different eras, and this place is just a one-stop shop. On a few Facebook groups I'm on, some people did, you know, that work for, I think the Computer Museum and maybe a few other places did say, you know, it was us that lent, you know, shows like *Halt and Catch Fire* all their stuff, and this author didn't say anything about that. You know, there's more places than just this place, was their point.
Yeah, there have to be.
So I figured I'd throw that out there just in case there was some, just to help some people out, clear the air or whatever.
Let's see what else we got here. If you're interested in doing game development, over at Humble Bundle, they have another game dev related bundle. This one is a collection of assets, of graphical assets. So all kind of mobile game looking graphics. I don't know if you could use these to build a like a real retro game unless you know, converted the graphics and scaled, you know, maybe pixelized them a little bit. But it's all like kind of RPG icons and characters and, you know, treasure chests. There's like one Western pack in there too. But mostly this seems to be geared towards someone doing like RPG development for a mobile phone.
Yeah, and card games. You know, this stuff's really cool. I bought a few of these for Unity and Unreal Engine. You know, thinking one day I would actually finish a game I would write.
Yeah.
But now I just, you know, have like the Tropical Tree package. But this stuff, if you do actually want to release a game, one thing a lot of people don't think about is the actual assets, the icons and the sounds, and getting a package like this, even if you're unsure, is a good thing to have.
Yeah. I know I spent a lot of time trying to find 1989 Shopping Mall in Sega Genesis palette to no luck. Turns out nobody makes a pack like that. So
there's an untapped market there.
Yeah, it's very definitely. I could completely dominate that one. I need like a Blizzard one right now. Like, I got to figure out how to do that. Not like a Dairy Queen Blizzard, but like actual, you know, piles of snow and ice looking graphics.
Just take a picture outside your window and pixelate it.
I was kind of thinking that, you know, like going to like a parking lot where they have the big snow mounds that are all gray, you know, because they've been plowed and it's half rock. Those awful snow mounds. People in the South don't get to experience these.
No. And some of them last till June because they're so tightly packed and cold.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let's see here. So in terms of rumors that have been going around for at least 5 years, Google may be announcing a game console at Game Developer Conference.
I posted this one, and yeah, the rumor is that it would be a streaming only console, and that it would have almost no lag. And if you do any development on Google App Engine or their Google Cloud, you can already integrate GPUs into your services or your virtual machines, and there's already YouTube videos on how to make those into streaming service. So this is why I think this definitely has some weight to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could swear though that this is like we've heard about I swear I've heard a headline like Google is developing a game console for years.
And Apple, Apple actually had
Apple
one,
did,
but
and
yeah.
Like a lot of Apple things, it was overpriced and underpowered.
Yeah. But this I could see, so I mean, they already have a store, their Google store where you buy malware. And I really think if they had a pricing model where you rented games or it was just everything you could play for free for, X dollars a month, and you didn't, well, I guess this would be a little console you would buy, but who knows? Maybe you could use your Android phone as a controller. I wouldn't want to do that. I'm just making stuff up right now.
Yeah. The risk with anything Google does is, I guess we're kind of putting the cart before the horse here without it actually being out. But the risk with Google is they tend to scrap projects pretty quickly. Or sometimes they scrap them just like once they've built an audience, then they decide it's time to kill the project. So that would be my only real concern. But at the same time, if they made something and it was like $150 and you could stream stuff from the Play Store and so on, that doesn't sound terrible. But we'll see.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I hope they do. I think there's room for competition, Yeah, this next story was yours, and I actually didn't see it till today.
Yeah, so at some point we're also going to talk about different kinds of clone hardware on this show. Maybe by system would be my guess, because trying to do them all in one episode would be insane. But I've used a lot of Sega Mega Drive or Genesis clone systems, and over on Nintendo Life, even though it's got Nintendo in the name, they're reviewing a new Mega Drive portable system that they actually say is really good. It's called the 16-bit Pocket MD. Looks to be a Japanese exclusive. It looks remarkably like the games like Fire Core or whatever it's called here in the US. I own one of these. I can't remember the name. It's like the arcade Genesis portable, something along those lines. And it's okay. It's not super awesome. It's, I think you get what you pay for it. It's a fairly inexpensive system, and it plays cartridge games, and overall it's pretty good. But they gave really good reviews, both like the controller and like accuracy of this little system.
And it's only $55, not including shipping, which it shipped from not America.
Yes,
Japan.
Yes, not yet. I mean, there's a lot of these systems, like someone, hopefully not at games, but somebody will maybe pick up a license for this thing and sell it in America at some point too. And then there's always those like weird kiosks at the mall that sell this stuff.
Yeah. This is called, I don't know if we said it, it's called the Pocket MD.
Yes.
It looks cool. I mean, the only reason why it's thick is so it could fit the cartridge. It uses AAA batteries, and it gets 6 hours of battery life. That's great.
Yeah, so like I have two different portable Genesis systems. One that takes cartridges and has like 8 built-in games, and the other one that has the SD card slot for your homebrew games. And they're both fine. I mean, I haven't tried any really crazy cartridges in them yet, because I don't know how well they work. I think they mentioned here that Virtual Racing is the only game they could not get to boot, and that is not surprising. But this one, the nice about this is that if you were going to get into like Mega Drive, into Japanese import games, this fits Mega Drive games. So if you don't want to get a converter or a Mega Drive, this is another way to play them.
It has the 6-button gamepad, so you could play Street Fighter 2, and they tested it. It's perfect, they said. And I expect 3 seconds after this thing's released, someone will make it so it can use rechargeable batteries. That's just my guess, because it happens with everything like this that comes out with.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one is really cool. I might need one of these, especially for the 6-hour gameplay. I mean, you don't get that out of the Switch, Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's probably not that much power to it, I'm guessing. It's a small screen, and it's probably essentially like a Genesis on a chip system. So there's really not a whole lot going on there.
Yeah, yeah. And let's see. The next story was mine, and I'm sure it's one, if you're listening to this podcast, you already know and are sick of hearing about it, but Reggie retired from Nintendo of America, and his replacement is Bowser.
Bowser, yes. Which, of course, the internet had a lot of fun with.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know much about him, Doug Bowser, but I have mixed feeling about Reggie. He seemed like a cool guy. He came in and launched the DS, and Nintendo's best-selling system ever, 2 best-selling systems ever. So we'll see how Bowser does. I don't know what else we say about it.
Yeah, I always felt like Reggie was maybe a little bit of a cult of personality figure. Not saying he was a bad leader, but the personality I think was bigger than the person, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I have nothing against Reggie at all. It's just kind of a goofball.
Yeah, yeah. You could put more diplomatically. He was very passionate about what he did.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he didn't go as far as Ballmer. He wasn't that big of a goofball.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if Doug Bowser is older or younger than me. It's sometimes surprising when you find these out. If I found out we were like the same age and he's, president of Nintendo US, then I would be very upset. Oh, wait, he's older than me. Good. Whew, okay. I still have time to become
What do you think? What do you think it takes? I mean, what do you actually do as president of Nintendo of America?
Yeah, I bet it's a lot more boring than it sounds. I think I definitely would not want to be CEO of a company. I made that decision really early on in my career that I could make a lot more money getting into the business side and working up and becoming a VP and all that kind of stuff. I could easily go that route career-wise because all you have to do is you have to have a good corporate haircut. You got to be able to wear a suit. I can wear a suit. That's fine. And you got to be good at making PowerPoints. And I can do all 3 of those things. Not to be little people who do CEO jobs, but I mean, that's a lot of it is the presentation and sort of planning and that kind of stuff. And I can do all that stuff. I don't necessarily want to. There's a lot of CEO jobs I would do for 1 year.
Yeah.
But the people that want to do the CEO job aren't interested in just doing it for 1 year. They're not sort of driven by I want to make enough money to retire after 1 year. So, and I don't know what the CEO or the president of Nintendo America makes. Probably
a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. Because, I read somewhere what Shigeru Miyamoto makes, and I'm like, oh, well, that's 1% of what he would make if he was at that's why 1% of what the Rockstar guys make.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just a different system. So Nintendo as a Japanese company doesn't, they reinvest a lot of their money in the company, and they don't have these ludicrous executive salaries.
Celebrity net worth says Reggie's worth $40 million.
Okay, well, there you go. So I guess I'm wrong on that. Maybe
Who knows if that side is correct or not? But
yeah. Well, what's Shigeru Miyamoto's net worth according to them?
Let's see. Oh, auto-completed a net worth. $40 million.
Yeah, now it sounds like they're just guessing.
Yeah, right.
But you would think if you were to weigh those two, if you were to do a business calibration meeting and you said who's more important to Nintendo, you wouldn't come out with those two being equal.
It does say Miyamoto's yearly. Yeah, I agree. But Miyamoto's yearly salary is $1 million. So let me look this up again. Reggie.
Yeah.
Net worth. It auto completed. Let me actually click on it this time. Doesn't give a salary for him.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Regardless, he makes more than me.
Yes. Yeah. I never speculated he was poor. I just thought that relative to other companies, I would suspect CEO of Nintendo America makes less than CEO of Activision.
Yes. But now Bowser was the head of sales, so I mean, would you rather have, the classic salesperson running the company, like a game company like Nintendo? Or
Right.
would you like, a Steve Wozniak type or a Miyamoto type running a company?
Yeah, so you're better off having someone who's more of a business guy.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to make decisions based on what they like.
They'll make it something that fans will actually buy.
Yeah, well, they'll make
Probably.
something that they believe will be profitable, which, of course, would translate to something the fans would buy.
Yeah.
Versus, like, oh, I think, I thought Pikmin was really cool. Let's do, like, 10 more of those. Right? That's the problem you get sometimes with when the more creative side is in charge of the company.
I do hope he pushes for a Bowser game. I think that would be cool, like a really well done Switch. It's all about Bowser.
Like a Mario Odyssey game, but starring Bowser.
Yeah, exactly. Or even a Breath of the Wild where, open world Bowser.
Open world Bowser.
Where you're just... it wouldn't be very PC because you have
Yeah.
to steal princesses and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you're describing Rampage.
Good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. Yeah. They already made a Bowser game, I guess.
Yes. Hey, there's an unreleased Genesis game that is going to be bundled with the Mega SG. So the Mega SG is a system by Analog, who make the very high-end hardware clones, known to be like the best quality hardware clones on the market. Also the most expensive, so it is kind of a niche market. I think they're a cool idea. I'm not going to shell out for them. But the game Hardcore, that was never released, is going to be included on the system.
This is my favorite story of the week. This game, I haven't played it. I don't know if there's like ROMs out there or anything for it. I've never played it. Who knows? I may have like 7 versions of this ROM. And this system is beautiful. It might be the best looking Genesis controller I've ever seen. I'm not going to buy it because I have a Genesis already with many games. You could argue that, this is good for upscaling, but if I use this thing and anything tweaks out, then I'll just blame the system and turn on my Genesis anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But this game looks great. Now, why was it shelved? Does it say that? Why was it never released?
Oh, see, you always think I'm going to read the article.
Oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
I did read it, and I skipped right past the why. Let's see, it was canceled in 1994. I'm going to guess the reason it was canceled is because it was 1994. So if it wasn't, like, if you were developing a game for Sega Genesis in 1994, I think about this when I'm doing, like, Genesis programming. Like, I'm so lucky to not have these kind of timelines.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
if you were building a Genesis game in 1994, if that game was not going to be done by that Christmas season, you scrapped it. Because it was already known that the replacement for the Genesis was coming out in 95.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
your Genesis game, if it doesn't hit Christmas season 94, it's gone. Just don't even bother. So I would guess that's the story here. That they knew they were going to make the end of 94 and time to scrap it and move on to something else. I would describe this as a sort of Contra style game.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's beautiful. I mean, I think it would have sold really well if it wasn't, if it came out in 92 or something.
Yeah. I think even if it came out in 94, probably would have done pretty well. I mean, the competition, Christmas 94, Genesis and Super Nintendo were still the hot systems. I mean, yeah, you had 32X and you had Sega CD and 3DO and Jaguar. But the Genesis and Super Nintendo were still the top 2 selling systems that year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Well,
it would have been all right.
This does say it's coming out for PlayStation 4 and Vita as well.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
So yeah, so we'll get it anyways. But if you want the Genesis original, I guess, then you got to buy this system. Which again, I called it like high end. I think it's $200.
That still is high end.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that crazy. I guess I was thinking it was like 500 or something, like whatever their first NES system was. So 200 is not really terrible, but I don't think I would buy a $200 Genesis right now.
I wonder if they'll finally get the sound right, if they'll be the first.
First ever to
Yeah.
get the sound right.
Yeah. I don't know why that is, but...
Yeah, I think the Genesis emulator on DOS is still the only thing that ever got the sound right. I don't know how that is. All right, and last here, also about really overpriced stuff. Someone bought a sealed copy of a kind of rare variant of Super Mario Brothers for $100,000.
This makes me sad. First of all, you would have to make $40 million a year. Your net worth would have to be $40 million in order to spend that kind of money.
Yeah, I would, if I had $40 million, I would still not spend $100,000 on an NES game.
Especially this, it's an early release of Mario, or Super Mario Brothers. This guy talks about how, he bought many other, graded inbox with sticker and shrink wrap NES games, and he has a complete collection, or pretty much. It's just something you buy and then you put on a shelf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I read the story of like the guy who sold it, I mean, he made a lot of money on his investment, but he said that like he got into boxed NES collecting when it wasn't like insanely expensive. He said he paid about $150 to $200 a game for his boxed games, which I guess would be the early days of eBay. I remember seeing boxed NES games for like $200 and thinking, man.
Yeah, it must have been early 2000s.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good return on investment. I can't think of a game I own that I would not be willing to sell for $100,000.
I'm with you there. I mean, yeah, it's a good looking box. It makes me sad.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It maybe it's an investment. I don't know. I feel like this is kind of a price bubble that eventually prices will come down. I think, nostalgia for NES games primarily is Gen Xers, and at some point it'll be like Beach Boys merchandise, right?
Exactly. So, yep, we're in our 40s. We grew up with this stuff. We want to own it again. We want to own the stuff we couldn't afford when we were younger. And pretty soon that people will start selling this stuff again because they'll realize it's just a box on your shelf that you've never opened.
Yeah.
So. All right.
So, project of the week.
Yes, this one was mine. It is called AppleSauce. So AppleSauce is a piece of hardware that you purchase that backs up Apple floppies, Apple II floppies to be specific. And instead of looking at the file system, what it does is it reads the actual flux, the magnetics of the disk, mm-hmm. and it's not really reading ones and zeros. It's reading bit streams. So it's a 1 and then the time and or distance until the next 1. And it's all zeros between then. It calculates, how fast the disk is spinning and all that. And why this is important is because, well, A, you should be backing up your floppies now because they are rotting from the inside out. 2, the copies of these games that are saved on like archive.org and other sites like that are pirated versions of the game that have removed the copy protection. Mm-hmm. This will copy that copy protection.
Well, now I watched the presentations that we'll have the links to, at least one of them. It's about 45 minutes, and I thought, oh man, this is going to be really boring. I can listen to a guy talk about a disk drive for 45 minutes. And actually it flew by. I thought, at the end of it, I thought 5 minutes had gone by. Like, it's not because he's a super impassioned speaker, but because what he was describing was really interesting. So he was talking about, again, like you'd mentioned, copy protection. So he showed some games like Archon that use bad sectors on the disk as a form of copy protection so that you can't actually copy the disk. I mean, you can copy the data, but it won't run because the game is programmed in such a way that it's looking for like essentially bad sectors on the disk to boot. And then, as you mentioned, over the years, people would rip the data off these disks and then apply cracks to the games. So you would get like game cracked by so and so, and then the game would start.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's you want to preserve these really cool and innovative way to copy protect back then. His name is John Morris, by the way. And if you ask me, he's a genius because I couldn't invent something like this.
Yeah, and he talks about working with Apple emulator designers to get support for the disk image format. And how a lot of the Apple emulator designers, and I completely understand their position, have typically coded their emulators toward speed rather than accuracy. So saying, hey, I'm going to add a feature that now when you load disks, it will take as long as it took to load the disk back in the day. That's not a feature people are really looking for.
Yeah, or it's only a very, very niche thing to spend all that time coding and only have, a handful of people use it. But this device looks really cool. I mean, it almost looks like an Altair on the front. It's a switch and with a few lights, and on the back, you have, the serial port to your a 5 1/4 or 3.5 inch drive, or your Disk 2 drive, and your USB cable. Because you plug this in, I should mention too, a modern computer. I think right now it's only working on Mac OS, but it's soon going to work for Windows and Linux. And one thing I wanted to really point out is the software you use makes a picture of the flux, and it's a circle. It looks like a donut, like a disk does on the inside. And these are beautiful, especially the ones that have really unique copy protection. And people are, it almost looks like a lithograph or something. People are printing these out and putting them on their walls. They look so cool. The file format is called a WAS file, and I guess if you know who Jason Scott is, he was the one that proposed that name, which I think is pretty good name for this, for obvious reasons. But yeah, so if you have old disks for Apple II, I think it works for Apple II GS and C as well, even though C, I guess, would just use regular Apple II disks.
It's Apple II with, wait, C was more memory, I thought. It was just the same, otherwise the same.
Yeah, and I'm doing air quotes, portable.
Yeah.
But I highly recommend picking one of these up. There's a project called WAS of the Day, where just, hey, it takes a little time to do these, so just do one disk a day. And I'll upload it to archive.org. MAME even supports these file formats. I think it's really cool. I think this project took a lot of passion, and I think it's worth it because, I'm not going to lie, I use ROMs for a lot of things. If I like something and if it's available to purchase in this modern era, I do 100% of the time. But these games and these software, I even loaded up Print Shop Pro, just because it was so unique and the interface is actually really cool. They're works of art, it's something that needs to be preserved. And I don't feel bad doing it,
Yeah, there's a lot of kind of weird utility programs and apps out there that maybe just only appeal to Apple fans, but just a lot of like crazy stuff that is just going to be totally lost to time without projects like this.
Exactly.
I'm looking through the WAS a Day archive. Thank you for ruining the rest of my evening as I go through this. Just an insane amount of stuff on here already. I mean, of course, a lot of these were games where like the discs were floating around already anyways. But stuff I didn't know existed, like this Goonies game. I did not know there was a Goonies game on Apple II, and now that's all I want to play.
It'll probably be a Game Club game soon.
Yeah, I got to try that.
It is $225 for a basic edition, or a deluxe is $285, and it's everything you need for Apple II, 5 1/4, 3.5, and allows you to image everything the basic does. Oh, plus Mac discs. Yeah.
So I happen to know that 200 is like the going rate for those things, because I once picked up a box of like Apple II junk, like from an electronics recycling thing. Like I knew someone whose wife ran electronics recycling events, and he just dropped off this box of Apple II junk because he knew I liked that kind of thing. This is back when I didn't have kids yet, or I only had one kid, so I had room for old computers. Mm-hmm. And in that box of junk was a card that you plugged into your PC that then you could interface an Apple II drive through something that looked like a serial port. And you could read Apple II discs on your PC. Now, it wasn't an imager like this. It was more like what we talked about earlier on, like just scraping data, right? And
Yeah.
I'm like, well, that's a pretty cool case. Well, I'm never going to use it. Let me put that on eBay. And I got $220 for it.
Yeah, so this is way cooler, and it's the same price, and it's new.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yes. So I owed that guy. I did go back and split the profit with him.
Yeah, that's only fair. That's only fair.
And then some of that stuff I ended up just setting up on my desk at work. And long story short, I decided to make it look like it was actually running like one of our production systems in the background. Like I sort of quick Apple program that was pumping out messages that looked like production messages, and then people would be all confused.
Yeah. That's great. I don't know what else right now I have to say about this. You and I plan to do some interviews for this show, and definitely John Morris, I will be contacting him because it seems like he'll have a lot to say and have a lot of interesting things to talk about.
Yeah.
Just with AppleSauce in general.
All right, so you want to talk about the Game Club games?
Yeah, which one do you want to start with?
I'll go with yours. Go with Wings of Fury.
So, yeah, I love this game growing up. This podcast I would love to use to play games I haven't played before, or I haven't played much, but this one I was looking for an excuse to play. I mostly played the Game Boy Color version, only because before suggesting this game, I did not test my Apple emulators, and none of my gamepad's joysticks were compatible. It always picks up the analog stick, and I don't have any that don't have an analog stick right now, and you just can't push far enough where it reads to actually work. So this game is I guess you would call it side-scrolling game where you fly a World War II era fighter airplane, and you bomb Japan and some of their navy, and you shoot their airplanes down, and you constantly have to land and refuel, which did not annoy me once I got it down. In fact, it was kind of funny when you missed. I always, you land on an aircraft carrier, and sometimes when I miss, I just picture like what the people on the deck or, in the control tower or whatever you call it, an aircraft carrier would be like, what is this idiot doing? I like this game. It last episode I mentioned it felt a lot like Choplifter. You could go into that when you talk about it. But, yeah, Game Boy Color is a great port. I went back since I couldn't play it on any other systems and watched some videos, and the Apple II one definitely feels dated. The Amiga one is really cool. I forget if the Game Boy Color had, in the bottom section where you could see how much fuel you had left in your speed, I don't know if it had the front view, where you could see yourself landing on and lining up and stuff like that, kind of like Top Gun for NES.
I don't remember that, but I tried the Game Boy Color version. I don't remember that, but I did not play
I think
ton.
that's the only thing it didn't have that the other ones did have, but yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up for me. This is something, it's a game you could pick up and play for 5 minutes if you want. It's a great thing about it. But yeah, love this game, still love it. I'm glad I do. It's always not good when you pick up a game you loved as a kid and realize it's not great. This is a pretty good game. What did you think?
No, it wasn't my thing. I liked I think last week you described it as being similar to Choplifter. Mm-hmm. And it definitely is very similar to Choplifter, but I kind of like the mechanics in Choplifter a little better. I think because you don't have to really learn how to land it. Like, it's a little more fluid. Like, I thought the graphics were nice. I kind of like, I like the premise because it's similar to Choplifter. I don't like Choplifter. But I had a really hard time with the controls. I crashed a lot, and I crashed into trees a lot, which is really stupid. But I kept thinking the trees were supposed to be scenery.
Because you could fly in front of the tower or whatever it's called on the aircraft carrier, but you can't fly in front of the trees.
Yeah, so I kept smacking into trees.
Yeah.
So I was not very good at this game. And I mean, I can understand the appeal. Like, I won't say it's a bad game. It's just not something that I really got into.
Yeah, when you have all these giant game collections and old ROM collections and archive.org, if you don't love a game, there's no reason to really go back.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of understand, like, if it was a game you played years and years ago and you really enjoyed, still enjoying it, like, I don't think there's anything bad. Like I said, it's not bad, just, couldn't really get into it.
Yeah.
And I think it's your reaction to the game I picked, probably.
Absolutely, yeah. So why don't you start? So just in case I was speaking too fast earlier, that game was Wings of Fury.
Yes.
And go on with your game.
I went with Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. I know I said I was going to stick with, like, probably mostly picking multi-platform and kind of accessible games. This is maybe not the most accessible game because it's on not the most popular systems of all time, but it's on a lot of systems. I mean, it's on Sega CD, it's on DOS. It's on DOS, of course, very popular. It's on PC Engine, it's on CDI, and I mentioned last week even the Tandy VIS of all things.
Which... you went through really quickly, and then after we hung up, I went back and had to actually Google that. I did not hear of that system before.
Yeah. Well, why would you have? I mean, it was a little sort of CDI-like system that you could only buy at Radio Shack. And Radio Shack, I mean, they had computers and they occasionally had video games, but no one ever went to Radio Shack looking for video games, I don't think.
No, because usually there was a Funko Land next door.
Yeah. They were just never a big player in it. So the fact they had a game system is just confusing to me. I don't own like I said, I don't own a VIS. I thought I was buying the PC version. And
I think that's cool though.
Yeah. The boxes is like
do you still have that?
Yeah, it's completely identical otherwise.
So did you? Now I stuck because I forgot what you said. I stayed strictly with Volume 1.
Okay.
Even though I want to play Volume 2 because I have it for the Duo, and I just assumed somehow it would be better because it was for the Duo. I couldn't get very far in this, but I think it was because it's pretty involved, and I've been really busy with work, and I think that's why Wings of Fury this week or two was good for me, just because I could pick it up for 15 minutes here or there. And Sherlock Holmes, you really have to...
You have to
sit down and play it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let me tell you about why I got this game was on my mind. So early this year, my wife was on a project. She was working kind of late a lot, so I started playing in the evenings when she was working. I was playing L.A. Noire on the PlayStation 4. So L.A. Noire is the last video game I bought at Toys R Us. I went to Toys R Us when all the PlayStation games were 50% off, and L.A. Noire was 50% off. And I figured, seems like a good deal. It's a game I always wanted to try. I went back when the games were 70% off, and all they had was, I kid you not, I took a photo for proof, like 50 copies of Tony Hawk Pro Skater 5. And even at 70% off, nobody wanted that game, apparently.
They were over it by that time, yeah.
So as I was playing L.A. Noire, it occurred to me that this was just like a more produced version of Sherlock Holmes. Like, mechanically, L.A. Noire and Sherlock Holmes are not really that different. I know in L.A. Noire, you can control the person, right? And occasionally, you'll be driving around and there'll be a random encounter on the street. But at the end of the day, the point of L.A. Noire is you go, you talk to people, and then you write down all the names and places those people tell you, and then you talk to those people and visit those places. That's all L.A. Noire is.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad, like, awesome soundtrack, great graphics. I like the old timey cars, but at the end of the day, all it is you talk to people, and then you visit the things they tell you to visit, and that's exactly what Sherlock Holmes is. Only they didn't spend
that's exactly what it is.
Right, but they didn't spend like millions of dollars to do motion capture with Sherlock Holmes. They just used actors. So, which LA Noire, they could have saved a bunch of money by just doing FMV. They like got like actors from TV shows people have heard of and then motion captured them instead of just using them. So that's how you play through Sherlock Holmes. That's where you say it's really involved. That's all you really do is you get an assignment. You know, someone comes in and says, "Hey Sherlock, this house has been burglarized. We need you to investigate. Here's the person's name, Guy Clarendon, or whatever the guy's name is." Mm-hmm. And then you write down, only the game doesn't write it down for you. You actually take your notebook and you write down Guy Clarendon. And then you go to the director in Sherlock Holmes, you visit him. Maybe he mentions a location, mentions a couple other people. And you go to if you visit every location and every name that you hear in the game, then when you go to the judge, you'll have collected enough evidence to win, right? To go through the jury trial. And
I tried going there right away.
Yeah.
I tried going there right away.
Yeah.
He kicked me right out.
They won't let you. You have to have met some like minimum threshold of that. There's like certain events you have to have seen in each story. And I've played through Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2, and I actually started Volume 3 this week. So I have Volume 3 on PC. Played through the first mystery on that, and I'm going to do the other two over the course of the week. They're all mechanically the same. It seems like they were all probably filmed at the same time.
Wow, so you really like these games?
Yeah, well, I mean, they're not. They're kind of. I like FMV games, and like I said, it's pretty easy to play through them. You just listen, you write down the locations, you visit people. You know, it's a game you just kind of keep track of what you need to do next. The challenge, which I don't do, I'm not that hardcore about these games. The challenge is that after you've solved the case, you can play through it again and try and get the lowest possible score, which is like, what are the fewest things I have to do in this game to get to the guilty verdict? If you ever look like an FAQ, most of these stories can be solved in 4 or 5 steps. They're all really, really short if you know the optimal path.
Yeah, you just need to know who tells the stories, mm-hmm. And which suspects were in all 3 places at all 3 murders or whatever.
Yeah. And, you can play through them. There's a total of 9 mysteries, so this isn't like a huge time commitment. LA Noire is like 40 mysteries or something that you play through. So, not a big time commitment. I think you can do each mystery in like 30 to 45 minutes. So it's like watching that, it's less time commitment than that show on Netflix that we can't find time for.
Yeah.
So, I like them. And again, the first one in particular is pretty easy to get because it's on a lot of systems. The second one, little bit harder to get because it's on fewer systems. And then the third one is, I think, only on PC. But again, like I said, the actors they look at the same outfits, so I'm almost positive that all of these had to be filmed in one session.
This was one of those games that I always wanted. I'd pick it up on the shelf at Babbage's and stare at it. Because at that time there were, it was like this and Cotton that they were still selling for the Duo. And I wish I would have bought 70 copies of Cotton because you'd be retired right now. I'd be worth more than Reggie. Yeah. But I never got this one, and this is the first time I actually attempted to play it. I got through the first mystery, and that was it. It took me way longer than it should have. I'm so glad you gave me the tip of just don't even open the newspaper.
Yeah, there are newspapers that allegedly they have tips or clues for some of the mysteries, but I've never used them. It's just, like I said, just write down every name and every location, visit them all.
Now, have you played the newer game, I think it's 2018, Return of the Obra Dinn?
No.
Or have you heard anything about it?
No,
So it is... I haven't played it. I own it for 2 systems. You play as an insurance adjuster. That this ship comes back and everyone's dead or missing. And it has vintage graphics that looks like a Mac Classic. It's all black and white. And you have to figure out who did what and in which order and yada yada yada, and it made a lot of people's top 10 and top 5 lists for 2018. I'm gonna play it with my wife soon. I was just hoping you heard of it because I wanted it. It's the way people describe it to me. It sounds a lot like this.
No, I'll have to try that. I'll put that on my my giant backlog.
Yeah. So this for me, I probably won't return to, but I understand why someone would like this, especially if it's back in the day. You don't have much money, and it's one of the few games you own. You could really dive in and spend some time with it. You get your money's worth out of this one.
Do you want to talk about what we're covering next week for people that want to play along?
Sure. Yeah.
So on our next episode, we're going to be talking, it's going to be kind of a combined thing. We're going to talk about a topic and some games all at once. And it is the NES 2 PCE games. So there was a group of homebrew developers that took about 8 NES games and recompiled them to run on the TurboGrafx 16. And those ROMs have been floating around the internet for a while. You might have a copy. You don't have to go to any place too shady to get them. But it's good stuff. It's got like Super Mario Brothers and Castlevania and DuckTales 2 of all
Mega
things.
Man 1 and 2.
Yep. So Mega Man stuff, yeah. It's 1 and 2, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So where is there a specific thing they can Google?
Yeah, well, you can Google NES number 2 PCE.
And PCE stands for PC Engine, which is TurboGrafx everywhere but America.
Yep, all one word. I've tried probably 4 of these. I'm going to try and get the rest down before next time we record. And I think if you're an NES fan, I think you will enjoy seeing how these translated to PC Engine. I'll just warn you that they definitely haven't been optimized for the system a lot. Like you'll see like graphical improvements, but maybe some bugs here and there. Overall, I could never pull a project like this off. So the people that did it are amazing developers. And
yeah, hats off to them. I can't wait to dive into these.
Yeah, I think they turned out great overall. Some of them are a little quirkier than others.
But yeah, we'll talk about it next episode. We do have some listener feedback.
Which is, you want to give out the address?
Yeah, so if you want to give us feedback on if you played any of these games, if you want to play along, or if you're going through our giant Retro Game Club back catalog of so far 2 episodes, play the old games that we talked about, maybe when you're listening to this months ago, and still email us because we love talking about these games all the time. It's why we're here. But the email address is email@retrogameclub.net. And we did get some feedback already. And Hugh, I'll let you take these because they were from your old show. They're
yeah, I've met
coming
both
over
of these
to keep
people.
listening.
So Majors, who you can usually run into at Midwest Gaming Classic, but unfortunately it sounds like he's not going to be there this year. He was giving some feedback on previous the games we talked about last episode. Golden Axe. So he thought the arcade version was a pretty solid beat 'em up, but he was never really enamored with the Genesis ports. But he did like the Master System port.
That is interesting, yeah.
Yeah, even though it was missing the Dwarf and Flare. But it still had magic powers in the arcade and played well, albeit at a slow frame rate. The graphic style and similarities to Conan made it a winner for him. I kind of agree. I actually think the Master System version turned out better than the PC Engine version somehow. Yes, and then he also mentions Tetris. So he, of course, has played a lot of Tetris. Axis is his go-to game on the 3DS, and the Survivor mode is a great challenge. He says he gets up to about 480,000 points. I don't know if that's a lot on the 3DS version, but I'm going to assume it is. He says it's a good couch game to play while someone else is watching HGTV.
Their stories, yeah.
So watching Tiny House Hunters or whatever is on there. Not that I've ever watched Tiny House Hunters. I'm just saying that's what I believe is on there. I have thought, though, about, getting a tiny house that's just for video games, but Unfortunately,
I think you
they're all
have
too
one.
tiny.
It's called, just the room you're in.
Yeah, well, there's no bathroom in the game room, so that's the purpose of the tiny house. And then a loft that you can go crash in after you've been playing too much. And then an email from Jeff, who I met at what I didn't know at the time was the last ever Classic Gaming Expo event in Las Vegas. That was an event that went on for many years and then just stopped happening. It was at, think of things that stopped happening. I believe it was at the Riviera Hotel about 7 seconds before it was bulldozed. Because I hadn't been to the Riviera before. I've been to Vegas before, but never been to the Riviera. And I started off on a tangent here. But, the Riviera is kind of like, it's a hotel with a lot of history. And I walked in that place and thought, man, this is really a dump. Like, are they I didn't realize at the time they were planning to bulldoze it, but I kind of thought, like, man, they probably should bulldoze this place. Like, it was...
Yeah, like you barely made it out of there.
Yeah. But anyhow, he just was, just wanted to, give us a shout out, say he's really glad to, to hear the new podcast. And he definitely remembers emails from Rob from Detroit and is really excited about the new show.
Yeah, and they both call out that I am the new Rob, which is kind of funny. It's almost like Billy Corgan always, gets a new female bass player. Every podcast you have will have a new Rob.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I don't remember new names.
Yeah, so even if my name wasn't... You don't even know if my name is Rob.
Yeah.
You just call me that just because it's easier for you.
Yeah, it's like a sort of Tony Danza situation in a way.
And I'm just too polite to ever correct you.
Yeah. And it is the 7th most popular name of the 1970s. So there you go.
There you go. And I was born in the 70s.
Of male names. And the 6 above it are all ones where it's like, I know at least 400 people with those names. All right. So again, it is email at retrogameclub.net. And you can email us about, .net. Some squatter has the .com version. So just email us about anything. Anything, on the show, things maybe you want to hear us talk about, guests, projects. We'll read just about anything within reason.
Absolutely. And new topic ideas. If you played the games, if you have game suggestions for us. And please try to find the NES to PCE games and play them along with us for the next episode. We will be a little bit busier this next week, so it may be 2 weeks till our next episode.
Yeah, it might be. All right. So, I guess that is everything.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Yeah, and we will see you next time.